Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Honor Radio. And we are super excited to have some special guests here with us today. And I want to introduce them to you right away so we could get started. And first of all, I want you to meet Kathryn Holt, who is our one of our marketing people here with the Honor Group. She does an amazing job with us, and so we're honored to have Kathryn on today's Honor Radio. And our real special guest, Sheriff Devon Bell from the Placer County Sheriff Office. And we have a lot we want to talk about today, Sheriff and Kathryn. We're very excited about our upcoming Honor Bowl event that's going to be occurring at Del Oro High School. And Sheriff, you've been a part of that.
I have.
For some years now, going back to the Battle of the Badges football game and all of that we started back in 2011. And now with the Honor Bowl Showcase getting to as big as it's gotten. The last few times that we've done this at Del Oro, it's always been about the hometown Honor Bowl and in honoring our first responders.
Right.
However, the event is about raising money for injured, ill, and wounded veterans. And so, tell us, Sheriff, how you feel about being involved with this event. You're going to have your color guard there. You're going to have police units there. Fire's bringing out fire. Right. Tell us how you feel about the event.
I got to tell you, I think it's absolutely wonderful. It's our privilege to participate, and what a great cause, number one. Number two, to have us be so instrumental and be such a big part of it, absolute honor for us. It is our honor to be there. And number three, when we have events like this, like the Honor Bowl, it reinforces for me, and I know for my deputies on the streets as well, what a special place we live in with the support that we have from our community. It is absolutely affirming to participate.
Wow. Kathryn, do you have anything you want to add with that?
Yeah, I was going to add in, I think a lot of times people look at our deputies or Placer County Sheriff's Office and they don't realize you're human. And by participating in this football game, we're humanizing everybody that's out there. People all of a sudden figure out, oh my gosh, Sheriff Bell is married. He has children. He's a son to someone. He has nieces and nephews. And so the feeling of family and community on Friday night under the Friday night lights, that is what really hits me in my heart, is because we become one when we're out there.
Absolutely.
One of the other things that's amazing for me, and trailing off what Kathryn just said, is I'm alumni from Del Oro.
Yes.
So it's always exciting to go back to the school. Most of my teachers are now retired, but every once in a while you'll see a former teacher, and I always run into former classmates. So when you're talking about humanizing and feeling like truly, well, he's part of the community too. Del Oro is a special place in my life and growing up, and being an alumni, it's always a privilege.
Well, and I want to segue on that real quick.
Sure.
Maybe give something away. So retired Sheriff Ed Bonner is going to be doing the coin flip. Now, I've known Ed a long time, but I was told that he will be there for his 50-year high school reunion. There's no way he can be that old. But he's going to be there for his high school reunion and doing the coin flip, and then we have a really big surprise for him in store.
He may not like surprises.
He's going to like this one.
Always nice.
We're so honored to do this event. I mean, to be bringing it to Del Oro, in Placer County, the patriotism of this county, Sheriff and Kat. I mean, it is just an amazing, at the school. I mean, the fact that the school is inviting us back to do this. We didn't do it last year just because we all of us were so tired from doing these year after year after year. But to be bringing it back to Del Oro on our California tour, this will actually be the third Honor Bowl that we're doing in 3 weeks. So we're excited about the ceremony and the pageantry and the great football game time that is going to be happening, and we're bringing in a military veteran who's a triple amputee, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine, injured Marine, that is going to be talking to the fans about sacrifice and recovery, and it's going to be just a great event. So I got a question for you.
Sure.
Sheriff. You've experienced this. You love the event. What would you like to carry forward and build upon after this event? What are the highlights, the camaraderie, the community unity? For months to follow, what would you like to see carry on?
Well, the first thing that I would like to touch on is the Honor Bowl. When the people that we're recognizing there, not the first responders, although them as well, but certainly our veterans, is the how wonderful human resiliency is. I mean, we've got some just phenomenal stories come out of that, and it reaffirms all of our faith in humanity and our ability to be resilient to some really adverse situations. As far as locally, within our community, it is wonderful that we all come together, and I'll tell you what, I've been the sheriff since 2017, and I've got 28 years in this agency, and we are blessed to be here. And the Honor Bowl, the participation that you see from the community is not an isolated incident. It is a reflection of just the way this community is. They have first responders' backs, they have veterans' backs, and I just think it's absolutely wonderful. And again, it affirms for me how blessed we are to be here.
We're blessed to have you as a sheriff.
Really,
we really are. I mean,
thank you.
You're just a great man, and
Thank
so there's things that we do at the Honor Bowl with the pageantry and the ceremony. Right. What is the visceral emotion that you have felt when you witnessed the stuff that we do at the Honor Bowl? One that comes to instance that we were talking about before we started this podcast was the building of the battle cross.
Right.
What do you remember about that?
To see those affected families, they're participating, it's very tangentially significant for me. And we talked about this briefly as well. I lost a nephew. My family is, we have a long history of service. My grandfather was served in World War II in the Navy. My nephew was Special Forces out of Fort Lewis and served in Gardez, Afghanistan, and he was killed there. So I definitely relate to the families and the sacrifices that our veterans have made and the impacts on their families and the community. And when I watch that, I mean, it tugs at my heartstrings, and I get emotional, and that's just the way I'm wired. But it's absolutely, it's touching, it's heartbreaking, but it's affirming at the same time. It's just a very complex amalgam of emotions.
Yeah, and if I could go a step further with that, with what we do at halftime. I mean, we're having your honor guard come out, and this is the honor guard that when you see when a sheriff or a police officer is killed while on duty or even off duty. I've seen it many times, several different ways. But this honor guard is going to be on the 50-yard line at halftime, where they do the presentation of the flag. Right. They do the flag folding ceremony, the 21 gun salute, which is otherwise known as the triple volley, and then the presentation of a flag and taps.
Right.
I mean, it's powerful, Sheriff. It's powerful to see that, and what we're trying to do with that is educate the students that are there, the fans that are there, the coaches that are there. I mean, the place is going to be packed.
It's going to be packed.
Del Overs, Granite Bay, there's going to be 5,000 plus people there, easy, if not more. But they're getting an education about our fallen warriors, about the men and women that serve in our police department, our sheriff department. I mean, this is an amazing event that is educational and powerful.
Right, and I'm going to jump on your shirt tails on that.
Yeah.
The opportunity that you're providing the students and the audience to witness the building of the battlefield cross or to see the folding, the 17 folds of the American flag, These children, these parents, unless they have somebody in the military or law enforcement, have never seen or felt it. So when you bring it to the table or to the field and make it real for them, I believe it resonates. I mean, a lot of times at these different schools, I think every 4 years, they do like a drunk driving thing. I forgot what it's called.
Every 15 minutes.
Yeah, and they do that, and the kids are affected and impacted so profoundly.
Yes.
Right.
On the flip side, this gives them the insight of sacrifice. Dads that miss the birth of their babies because they've been deployed.
Yes.
Christmases,
Yes.
every holiday. But then when they watch a Gold Star family who's lost a child go out there and set out that child's boots and the rifle and the helmet and the dog tags, and they realize this is part of life.
Yes.
Life isn't just about being in high school and what we're wearing today and how we look. Life is about what happens beyond high school. And so I think both of you, because you're giving the kids a gift, you're giving them something they can't get in history class or economics.
Right.
It's reality. So my heart says thank you and God bless you for doing it.
Well, I think that you're absolutely right. It's a very demonstrative thing on the field that resonates with people and inspires a little bit of patriotism. I think that's important, frankly. We live in a time where there's a lot of cynicism. I don't want to get overly political, and I won't get political, but I will just say that sometimes the media narrative and political narratives from either side of the aisle may not inspire people to be patriotic or supportive. This is something entirely different and separate from all of that noise. This is very real. These are real affected families, and we're honored to absolutely do that ceremony so that people, again, it resonates with people and provides something real tangible for them to see and, more importantly, feel and experience.
I got the idea when the two deputies were killed, one of them being your deputy, Sheriff Davis. And it was that year when I went to his funeral at the church in Rockland, and I saw the pageantry and the honor that was given to Sheriff Davis or Deputy Davis.
Yeah.
And I wanted the fans to feel that. Yeah. And so I thought, man, if I could bring that out and do that at halftime, right, and get the athletes and the fans to feel that emotion. You know, we don't have a casket there,
right.
But the way they display the flag and the way they show it, and then they describe the folds and the gun salute and the playing of taps. If you want to hear a stadium packed, that is whisper, you can't even hear a thing, and you'll hear sniffles.
Yeah.
You'll hear people crying, but I want them to feel that, Sheriff. I want Kathryn, I want them to feel that because that means they're getting it.
They're getting it.
They're getting it, right?
Yeah, I'll touch briefly on that service. When we're talking, and we have wonderful kids in this community and tremendous high schools, but this one will be limited to Del Oro because that was our experience. On the processional when Michael was killed, Mike Davis, our procession took us right past Del Oro High School.
It did.
It did, and I might get a little emotional because Mike was not only a colleague, but he lived in my neighborhood. We were friends. When we went past Del Oro High School, there were hundreds and hundreds of kids in front of that school.
Yeah.
And it affected everybody. We didn't ask for that. They were there because it was the right thing to do. And they wanted to support Michael, his family, and all of us. Special, special place.
I remember that. Yeah. And, man.
I got you emotional, too. You're a coach. I should have known you were emotional.
I remember that.
But how can you forget that? When the kids are out there and they're lining up and they're paying tribute and they're honoring you and the solidarity was there. And I got emotional at my tears.
Yep.
And it was hard because my son was in Colfax High School. And he actually asked for permission to take the day off, and I gave him the day off, and he was down there in the line. And there were about, I want to say 20 or 30 kids that came from
Other
Colfax.
schools,
Other
right.
high schools
Right.
came down and lined that road. And my son had asked, will it be appropriate to wave the American flag? I went out and I bought a case of those small American flags, and he went
Handed
through
them
and
out?
handed them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the building of the battle cross, the flag presentation, the pregame ceremony with the cheerleaders involved. I've even invited the midget football teams out so they can stand there and as we do the Pledge of Allegiance and all that. But I've had principals of schools. I mean, we've been doing this for years now throughout the whole state of California. My partner Rick and I, have been our CEO Patty Schumacher is a Gold Star mother. We build the battle cross before every game. And when we're walking off the field after we do that, I have principals, I have school administrators, school executives just sit there in tears going, oh my God, we had no idea it was going to be like this, right? Because the ultimate goal of the honor group, the honor bowl, what we do with the Placer County Sheriff Office, all of that is about educating. We want to make sure that everybody leaves with an education of patriotism, of what it means about sacrifice, of honor. That's what we want to do. And so,
God bless you for doing it, Coach. I had no. Obviously, it exists. It did exist, and it's a testament to the character of our community. But for you to pull that out on an annual basis, pull it out and remind people, it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm just going to take the opportunity to say thank you. I realize what a tremendous workload that is for you and Kathryn and all the people involved in that. But thank you for doing it.
thank you, Sheriff. That means a lot. It means a lot coming from you. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to jump in here because I think it goes a little deeper. My child's in high school, or actually he's in college now. And when he was in high school, they no longer did the Pledge of Allegiance. These students that are coming up don't understand. You stand, you take your hat off when the flag is presented. Mm-hmm. You salute or put your hand across your chest. During taps, you stand at attention, you're quiet. Again, you're supposed to cross and be quiet through the whole thing. And so not only are we showcasing patriotism, but we're teaching something that's no longer being taught in the schools. And for that and that alone, these kids can walk away and now they understand they're supposed to take off their hats. They're supposed to be reverent for the flag. They're supposed to, if they don't want to say the pledge, by golly, they need to at least have their hands on their hearts to, turn off the cell phones during the national anthem. There's no visiting. You stand, and again, you cross your heart. Those who have served as veterans salute. And I think that's a gift, and that's missing in the education system. And so again, another major kudos to the honor group for bringing that, and for the sheriff's office to support that, because your guys all know what to do. They know proper flag code and etiquette,
Yeah.
but there are younger generations that are clueless now.
Yeah. Well, we're doing it little by little, and once again, we're just honored to be involved with the sheriff office and Del Oro High School. And I can guarantee at Del Oro High School, every one of those kids know the Pledge of Allegiance. There is no doubt about that.
I'll speak for Granite Bay. They do too. That's a wonderful community there as well.
Thank you. You're right, sir. You're right. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, Sheriff, and I want to, obviously there's a lot going on in our world right now, right? And, you've been dedicated to law enforcement your whole life, right? And you've seen a lot of changes.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the good, the bad, the ugly. What have you been going through, since you've, assumed the role of sheriff? How's that been with you?
Yeah, I've been in the office, or worked for the sheriff's office for 28 years. And I can tell you there have been obviously significant changes in the profession. Some of them for the good. I mean, frankly, we needed to evolve with the times. One of the most compelling things that I talk with my people, we do recognize there's a lot of change and a lot of things being sometimes forced upon us that we don't think is necessarily sound, but we adjust to it anyway. What's not changed for us in this whole climate of sometimes turmoil is our mission. You got to get excited about the mission. We're keeping the peace and providing an environment for where people can live and raise their families and conduct their business, and that is honorable. And the other thing that hasn't changed is the dedication of our people. People are consistent. You hire good people, you get them excited, and go out and do the mission. And frankly, don't take the community for granted. One of the things I talk, and there is a law enforcement nexus to this. I'm just going to say in briefings, I will frequently say, folks, what I want you to understand is community-oriented policing is about policing with the community, not to the community.
Or against it.
Yeah, and if you don't understand the distinction, that's problematic. We're in a partnership. We can only be effective if we have the support of our community, and we are blessed to have that here. But don't take it for granted, because if you do, those things are lost. And it's events like this, coming up on the upcoming Honorable, where it reminds us about how important it is, how supported we are. But gosh, don't take it for granted.
Wow, that's the reason why I thought of this. When with what happened to Deputy Davis and that whole episode, there just seemed to be a shift that occurred throughout the nation, right? And I wanted to be able to honor our police, our fire, our first responders, these men and women that are out on the street every day, protecting us, keeping us safe, in
the trenches.
In the trenches here at home. Of course, we're raising money for injured, ill, and wounded military veterans. So there's that aspect, but also we need to honor these men and women that are out there every day in the trenches, like you say, Kat.
24/7.
Right, 24/7, keeping us safe. Right? And we're going to make that shine big time at the Honorable. Big time. So we're taping this actually on a day that is a solemn day for our nation, a day where planes were hijacked and destroyed 2 towers. One went into the Pentagon, another one went down in a field, and almost 3,000 lives were changed. That's only happened one other time in our nation's history, and that was December 7th, 1941, with Pearl Harbor. And we saw our country come together and unite after those 2 events like we've never seen happen before.
Right.
Amen?
Amen.
Now we seem to be
further and further away from it.
Right, Kat? So, tell us, Sheriff, how you feel about that in today's world where we're at.
Right.
How do you feel about where we're out as a nation?
Well, I was serving the sheriff's office in 2001. I was a sergeant, night shift watch commander, and I can tell you the days, weeks, and months following the attacks were certainly solemn, but they were also just chillingly just awesome for us, because that shocked people and made them appreciate what we do, and our fire service as well. You couldn't go into a Starbucks and buy a cup of coffee because somebody was going to step up and buy it for you. And it wasn't about that. It wasn't about somebody buying your coffee, but it was about the recognition.
The appreciation.
And the appreciation. And I think as we move farther and farther away, we have kids in high school right now that have no memory of 9/11. And we have to constantly remind them about sacrifice, about service, and about recognizing those who do serve. And that's really what it's all about. And that's a responsibility of leaders. And I don't mean people who wear stars on their collar. I mean people who influence. Coaches, scoutmasters, teachers, youth pastors, all of those people who have influence over our kids. We need to make sure that they are emphasizing, hey, there's something out there bigger than you. And again, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but events like the Honor Bowl, we're not going to simulate 9/11, but we can certainly recognize the sacrifice that men and women have made to safeguard our freedoms.
Wow.
And I think I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
I think, the day 9/11, 2001, the world stopped. Everybody was shocked. 9/12, what happened? Every single American flag in every single
So true.
store across this nation was bought. People were buying flags. It didn't matter if you ate at Chick-fil-A or wore Nikes. We were united and not divided. There was no socioeconomic or educational division or radical racial religion relations out there. We came together as one nation. We grieved, and all of a sudden, we no longer took the firemen for granted. The people that went into the towers to save lives, the police, they became almost like superheroes and revered in their stories and the saves that they made. And Jeffrey, my son, was 3 at the time. He remembers sitting in front of the TV. He remembers that I was upset, but he doesn't have that visceral emotion of, oh my God, we are at war. And, everybody, there were people standing next to police officers as they were picking up pieces of the building. So police officers picking up a piece, as civilians next to him, and they're handing off, trying to unbury to get to those injured. And it's like, if we could bring it back where everybody was appreciative of the services provided. I mean, you can call 911 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter what's happening, the winds, the weather, the rain. And a deputy is going to show off, and a dispatcher is going to be on the other end. And they're going to give you love and compassion, talk you through it, and they're there. And our kids in our communities need to rally around that idea. If tomorrow we sold out every American flag, you would see me out there being the cheerleader going, whoop, 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 yeah. But I don't want to see it at the cost of lives or war on our soil.
Yeah. 9/11 changed my family's life. I'll never forget my kids coming home from school that day. They were both were in junior high and just getting ready to start high school, Granite Bay. And they were so angry. Yeah. They were so angry about the news that they heard at school that day. And they just came home and it was life-changing. And 3 years later, or 4 years later, my son said, I'm going to sign up for the military. So he joined the military, and then my youngest son signed up for the military 6 months after that. And I knew they were going to see war. I knew it because now we were in the throes of Iraq and Afghanistan, and I knew they were going to see war, and I did everything I could to stop them. Because I knew that my boys were going to see death. I knew that they're going to see friends killed and injured.
And maybe
it could have even been
home.
them, right? And I remember how scared we were. But then, fast forward after several deployments, harsh deployments, I'm on the football field at Del Oro. Yeah. Coaching at Del Oro. And I'd walk on the field, and Coach Casey Taylor and Coach Van Langen, he would give me an opportunity to talk to the kids because he would see me come with the weight of the world on my shoulders. Right. And he would just say, Coach, as the kids are kneed up after football practice, tell them about what you're going through. Right? So they would give me an opportunity to educate these kids. And that's how the Honor Bowl began, because these kids would hear my stories about our men and women that were fighting, bleeding, and dying for our freedom. And they would come off the football field after a game and say, we made that tackle for the Marines.
There you go.
We made that tackle for the Army, right? And I saw that they were getting it. And I went, oh my God, I have an idea. What about if I got this coach to bring his team or that coach to bring their team to come together? And that's how the Honor Bowl started. Wow. And now it's become the finest high school football showcase in America. And
But now it's a gift too, because you're educating, you're empowering,
Exactly.
and you're equipping.
Exactly. We go into the locker rooms before the games. We call them moto talks, and we bring in a wounded military veteran and a military commander, sometimes a chaplain, and myself, and we tell the story of the Honor Bowl. And these kids hear from a guy that has no legs, talking about the price of sacrifice and freedom, right? Our heroes aren't the Kardashians and these rap stars that we hear of today. Our heroes, and I tell the kids this in the locker room, are the men and women of our armed forces, our first responders that are on the front lines every day that are protecting our freedom. Those are the men and women that we should emulate. Those are the men and women that we should raise up. Amen.
Amen.
So, man, that's what we do. I'm ready to go right now.
Put me in the game, Coach. I'm old, but I can go.
Sheriff Bell, I just want to thank you for being a part of our Honor Radio podcast. Kathryn, you're just a gem. You're great to have on our team. But Sheriff Bell, thank you so much for allocating resource to this event. We plan on making it an amazing day and an amazing evening of honor, glory, pageantry, ceremony, and seeing a great football game between two phenomenal crosstown rivals.
They are.
Right? I mean, it's funny. Rick, our producer, he's a Granite Bay coach, right? And what does Rick say all the time? Rick, you say, hey,
I love Del Oro 363.
There's a couple days. Fair enough.
there's that one day, right? So, but thank you, Sheriff.
Well, thank you for having me. And as far as our participation, it's more than our privilege. It's our honor to be there. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, sir. Okay, guys, so that's going to be the end of this Honor Radio podcast. We appreciate you listening. This was a powerful podcast. It was great to have Sheriff Bell take time out of his busy day and be a part of this. God bless you all, and we'll see you on our next show. Take care.